Before we begin, just a safety moment. Our fire safety exit is just the door that you came in. Good afternoon. We acknowledge that we are in the traditional lands of the Blackfoot Nations, which includes the Siksika, Piikani, and Kainai First Nations, as well as the Iyethka, Nakota, Wiskautabay Nations of Chiniki, Bearspaw, Goodstoney, and the Tsuut'ina Nation. Calgary is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, including the Battle River Territory. We recognize and thank all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples who have lived on and cared for this land for generations. Thank you for joining us. Today we have an update on the Bearspaw South Feeder Main. We'll be hearing from Director of Climate and Environment, Nicole Newton, Deputy Director of Drinking Water, Ryan Kidd, and Mayor Jeremy Farkas. We will hear their remarks, and then there will be an opportunity to ask questions. We ask that you please keep your questions limited to one question and one follow-up, and also identify what outlet you are with. I will now turn the podium over to the Director of Climate and Environment, Nicole Newton.
I'm Nicole Newton, the Director of Climate and Environment, and thank you for being here. This morning, we began shutting down the Bearspaw Feeder Main in preparation for our reinforcement repairs. This shutdown allows reinforcement work to move forward, and it means that we will not be able to move as much water as we normally do through our treatment plants to your taps. As of this morning, Stage 4 water restrictions are now in place, and we are asking people to reduce indoor water use too. This applies to everyone in Calgary, Airdrie, Chestermere, Strathmore and Tsuut'ina Nation. If you haven't already, now is the time to start saving water. For the next 4 weeks, we all need to pull together to keep our water use below 500 million litres a day. If we stay in the green zone below 500 million litres a day, our water system will be able to meet demand. If we get into the risky red zone above 500 million litres, we are seeing increased risks to our water supply. Keeping us in the green zone is within our reach, and with the help of everyday water heroes, by aiming to save 25 litres of water a day. We're asking residents to focus on simple, high-impact actions, including flushing toilets only when needed. Every flush skipped saves nearly 5 litres of water. Keep your showers to 3 minutes or less, as every minute less saves 7 litres of water. And running dishwashers and washing machines only with full loads. Dishwashers use about 28 litres a cycle, and front-load washing machines use about 62 litres, so only running full loads can go a long way. These small actions make you a water hero, and when everyone takes part, those efforts truly add up. We're also asking businesses and organizations across the city to do their part. Many businesses have told us that they're already taking steps to reduce water use. For example, we want to give a shout out to the YMCA Calgary as a water hero. They're reducing water use across their facilities while continuing core programs and prioritizing health and safety. Members are being asked to limit showers to under 3 minutes, as showers are the largest source of water use in the YMCA facilities. Where safe, they're reducing ice flooding and limiting high water use amenities to peak hours only. Pools and hot tubs that are drained will not be refilled until the feeder main reinforcement work is complete. They've cut down towel laundry by 50% and adjusted cleaning schedules to further reduce their water use. We've heard that many organizations have reached out directly to their customers and clients to remind them of restrictions and share steps that they are taking to save water. We're encouraging all businesses to review their operations for unnecessary water use, fix leaks and adjust processes where possible, and share water-saving expectations with staff and customers. There are tips and tools available on our website to help businesses conserve without compromising safety or service. Please start saving water today, and be sure to talk to your family, friends, and coworkers to spread the word and talk about the steps that you are taking to save water. For the most up-to-date information, practical tips, and resources for residents, please visit calgary.ca/savewater. That's where we will continue to post updates throughout the shutdown. We know this is an adjustment, and we appreciate the efforts Calgarians have taken and shown during this time. By working together to keep conservation top of mind, we can stay within our limits and protect our water system while this work is underway. I'll now turn things over to Ryan Kidd, Deputy Director of Drinking Water and Water Services, for an update on construction and water operations.
Thank you, Nicole. With the Bearspaw South Feeder Main now out of service, our teams have adjusted how water moves through Calgary's drinking water system. Providing clean, safe drinking water is a complex operation, and like always, crews are working around the clock to keep water flowing safely and reliably. As part of the shutdown process, pumps have been shut down at the Bearspaw Water Treatment Plant. Valves have been closed to isolate the feeder main, and crews are now working draining water from the pipe. While this work is underway, you may see water draining near the construction area, operational activities as crews manage flows across the system, and crews working at manholes and access points in Edworthy Park and in the communities of Bowness, Montgomery, and Parkdale. These are all necessary steps and normal parts of the process. Please be respectful of our crews. They're helping getting this work done as safely and efficiently as possible. During the next 4 weeks, we will be reinforcing a total of 9 pipe segments, 6 on 16th Avenue Northwest near Sarcee Trail, and 3 at Point McKay Park. Additional feeder main related work will also be completed during this time. Since our last update, lane reductions are in place on 16th Avenue Northwest near the Sarcee Trail interchange. Traffic is reduced to a single lane in each direction. The exit ramp from 16th Avenue Northwest onto Sarcee Trail and the exit off of Sarcee Trail onto westbound 16th Avenue Northwest are closed. 16th Avenue westbound remains open, but altered traffic patterns will cause traffic to slow. We encourage drivers who are heading west on 16th Avenue Northwest to plan ahead to reduce surprises and frustration. Once the feeder main has been depressurized, crews will begin excavating the pipe. Excavation is anticipated to start Tuesday morning. Once the pipe is exposed, crews can start working on the concrete reinforcement. This will involve constructing an exterior reinforcing steel cage, then pouring concrete around the existing pipe. Construction will happen simultaneously at all 3 work sites. Crews are working hard to move water differently in the system with the feeder main out of service. However, during the shutdown, the system has less flexibility, which is why help conserving water is so important. We need to keep overall demand below 500 million litres per day to keep the system stable while work is underway. We'll continue to monitor the system closely and provide regular updates as work progresses. Our plan is to have media availabilities for the next 4 weeks on Mondays and Thursdays, and the next media availability will be Thursday at 1 p.m. We will be providing updates daily on social media as well. I want to extend a big thank you to the crews who are working hard to do these important repairs. And again, I wanted to thank all of you for doing your part for the next month to help keep Calgary's water demand below 500 million litres while we complete this important work. Now I'll turn things over to Mayor Farkas.
Thank you so much, Director Newton, and thank you, Deputy Director Kidd. But most importantly, thank you to Calgarians for stepping up once again during the last chapter of this extraordinary time our city is going through. In just 4 weeks, our city will be one step closer to having solved this problem once and for all. So from today, March 9th, and for the next 4 weeks, you're hopefully hearing this message for one of the last times. For the last times we have to be able to conduct the spring shutdown. We've proactively turned off the South Bearspaw Feeder Main that carries 60% of our city's water so that we can reinforce critically weakened areas and try to make sure we can keep that pipe operational until we get the new pipe underground and online in December of this year. That means for these next 4 weeks, we'll all have to use a little bit less water. Again, that means trying to limit your showers to no more than 3 minutes, flushing only when necessary, and running your dishwasher or washing machine only when they're full. These steps, although they're small, do impact our lives, and it takes us thinking about making these changes to actually get them to happen. But when we think about them in the larger scheme, they're not huge changes. They're small changes that for 4 weeks, if we do them together, we can get through this. We can get to our planned shutdown in the fall, where we're going to be doing the very same thing, and then we're done. We'll be in December, we'll have a new pipe underground, ready to go, and we will never have to go through this again. So Calgary, remember, it is just 1 or 2 more times that we will have to go through this as a city before we solve this problem for good. Because of the brilliant workers who are showing up around the clock, we are able to get a project that would normally take 4 years done in less than 1. That is incredible. And so we have to remember, as we're going through this frustrating period of stage 4 water restrictions in Calgary again, that the end is in sight. The light is at the end of the tunnel. We're almost through this, and we are doing everything we can as a city to get there as quickly as we possibly can. And so that's why we're asking you to come together, to talk to your neighbors, your family, your friends, to let them know that we are this much closer. And that if we all work together to get through these planned repairs, we are one step closer to solving this problem once and for all. That's what this is about, making sure that our city is ready to succeed, not just today, not just fixing a problem that was left for us to deal with, but making sure that we are set for a new chapter of growth, another chapter of success, welcoming a new generation of prosperity. We're building infrastructure right now that will last us through the 2 millionth Calgarian, the 3 millionth Calgarian, and beyond that. That is a generational investment that we're making to solve this problem once and for all. And so again, if we just limit our showers to 3 minutes or less, if we flush only when necessary, if we run our dishwasher or washing machine only when they're full, we as a city are taking one huge step closer to solving this problem and being done with announcements and conversations like this for good. So thank you to everybody who has made a plan to change their water habits for these next 4 weeks. Thank you for being a water hero. Thank you to everyone who is going to continue to talk to their family, their friends, and their neighbors about the steps that we are taking together. And most importantly, thank you to Team Calgary, because we know that when we come together and do things like this, that's when we are at our best. That's when we see what our city truly is, when we come together and get through this together. And now we're more than happy to answer and take some of your questions.
Hi, Mayor Parkers, Jackie with CTV.
Hey Jackie, thank you for being here.
Pardon?
Thank you for being here. Well, I want to give a shout out as well to the media and many of the partners present. I know that it's been somewhat of a grueling schedule. December 30th was not what all of you were expecting, but you sprang into action to be able to help us get the word out, and I think that should really be recognized as well. You're just as much part of Team Calgary as the crews who are in the front lines digging the pipe.
Right, well, with that, I'm wondering if we can discuss, you said the fall, there's more restrictions coming. People might hear that and go, wait, what? Can you discuss that a little bit more, what you think will happen then?
So I'm going to ask my colleague to come up shortly here, but what I will say is that this pipe is terminally ill. There is no guarantee that even with these reinforcements that it doesn't break next month or in the middle of the summer. We just don't know. That's why we are moving heaven and earth to be able to build this as fast as humanly possible. We're building the replacement line in one single year, a project that otherwise would take 4. But in the interim, this pipe is terminally ill. It could fail at any time. That said, I will ask my colleague to come and share some of the current thinking around the fall shutdown.
So the question is around what kind of restrictions can we expect in the fall. So what I can tell you is our team is working right now on what the tie-in for the parallel pipe looks like. That work will take place in the fall and will require another shutdown of the Bearspaw South Feeder Main. And as a result, we will be putting in place restrictions similar to the ones we are today in order to enable that work. But as Mayor Farkas had said, that is really the planned work for that tie-in, and then after that work, no more restrictions should be will be needed once that tie-in to the parallel pipe is completed.
Any other questions? Yeah, I have a follow-up from Mayor Farkas, if you don't mind. Sorry, I'm at a bad angle here.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, please.
This one's just for my colleagues. Sorry, it is off topic, but they were wondering, Calgary Public Libraries has put a call out to local artists to create art using AI. So $8,000 in public funding will be provided to the winner in compensation, but local artists are mad about this and the use of taxpayer money to fund AI art. So is that a good use of taxpayer money in your opinion, and what is your message to the local arts community?
So the question is about the proposed AI artist in residency at the Calgary Public Library? Okay. Yeah, you don't need ChatGPT to tell you why that's a bad idea. I'm strongly in support of our local arts and culture scene, but it has to be Calgarians driving the bus, and I feel it robs local talent of the opportunity to be able to engage, to access contracts like these, to be able to bid. I'd like to see more of a focus on the organic arts and culture scene. There's an incredible amount of talent here locally, including from our First Nations and Indigenous neighbors. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me why we would be going down that direction, and it was the first time I learned of it this morning, but I think it's a terrible idea. It sets a bad precedent, and I'll be asking some questions of the Calgary Public Library and their board.
Helen Pike, CBC. There's a lot of people online talking about these restrictions and having concerns or airing concerns about AI data centers and what kind of role they may be playing in these restrictions. Can you kind of clarify, are AI data centers playing any sort of part here?
Maybe I'll ask my colleague to jump in.
Great, thanks for the question. So yeah, just wanting to know a little bit more about data centers. So data centers in Calgary serve a number of purposes in our modern economy. They provide digital services as well as services around securing storing and securing information. Our water bylaw currently does not permit once-through cooling. It really supports the recycling of water in these types of facilities for cooling purposes. I can assure you that data centers that are operating in Calgary are not among our top users, and that we continue to work with all businesses to ensuring that they're reviewing their operations to take the necessary steps to reduce water use.
And just as a follow-up, you know, the province, this is kind of looking ahead, but the province is looking to have more AI data centers. Calgary, we have our current water situation. Every summer we have other water situations in southern Alberta. It's a finite resource. You know, how can we add more AI, I guess, to the Calgary area? Is it possible?
So Calgary is a big city on two small rivers, and we do live in a region of limited water availability. However, we are a city that is open to many economic opportunities. I think the focus for this current time during water restrictions is really around all businesses and users being able to reduce their water use. Our water profile, over 60% of our water use is used by residential and multifamily customers, while the 30% is used by industrial and commercial customers. So we continue to work with all of those customers to reduce water use. And we're really focused on ensuring that we can get through this repair, but also very mindful of our role as a watershed steward going forward, and ensuring that we are supporting Calgarians and businesses to take the necessary steps to continue to use this resource wisely.
Sarah Conrad, Calgary, for either maybe you or Brian. With the recent change in weather and more snow coming this week, how is that going to affect construction efforts?
So the question was around how is the weather and the expected snow expected to impact construction and our schedule. Really short answer is it's not expected to impact that schedule right now. Crews have been watching the weather and making plans to adjust that, and will continue to make progress and stay on track.
Brendan Coulter, CBC. My question is for Mayor Farkas. So the last time that we asked Calgarians to save water and to cut back, we saw pretty consistently we used more than that target. What is the city doing differently this time to make sure that that message hits home and Calgarians do cut back?
And the question is about some of the historical trends and how Calgarians have reduced water use. What we saw in even on December 30th, even in the middle of the holidays, was Calgarians did step up in a big way. They reduced their water usage between 1% and 3%. Of course, it was a challenging time to be able to get the word out during the holidays, especially as people were traveling back and weren't checking traditional media sources. So this time around, we're asking for a running start. We're encouraging Calgarians to take relatively small actions that step up, or rather that stack up in a huge way when you think about 500,000 households. But to be clear, Calgarians did step up. They did support Team Calgary. They supported our frontline crews to be able to get this done, not just through water conservation, but also by providing adequate access for the crews to be able to get in and out of those work sites, heating, transportation, detours, and so on. The challenge, though, that for this time around compared to 2024 when the pipe broke in the middle of the summer, the primary challenge is that our region serves about 200,000 more people today than it did 2 years ago. So the margin for error is that much less. But in our case, the silver lining is that we only need a 3% reduction overall. Relatively small actions can allow us to be able to stay in the sustainable zone. And look, I know that this is frustrating. I know that this is not where any of us will want to be, let alone myself as mayor, let alone the crews who are literally in the trenches digging up the pipe. But what I can tell you is that we are on track to fix this once and for all and for good. We're not going to pass the buck to the next city council, to our next generation. We're going to deal with this here and now, not just for tomorrow, not just for next week or next year. We're going to fix this for good. And for us to be able to buy the needed time, we all need to pull together to make relatively small adjustments to our daily routine that add up to massive impact. And that's what Calgary has always been about. Calgary has gone through harder things than this, and we've come out the other side stronger. And this is just one of the latest challenges that we have as a community that I know that we're going to overcome so that we can buy the needed time for our front line to build this replacement pipe by the end of the year.
And then just on a separate issue, so there's a report going to IPC on Wednesday that says funding for parks is not keeping pace with inflation and with the growing parkland space in Calgary. Does funding for parks need to take a backseat just given our infrastructure needs right now?
Well, our infrastructure period needs to be dealt with, and that's a deficit that exists not just in water pipes, it exists in parks assets, and it exists in transportation, in transit, and other utilities. Look, we can pass the buck and have to pay more by delaying, or we can address with it here and now. You've often probably heard me say that either we pay modestly now or we pay massively later, and I fully support catching up to our infrastructure needs, especially as Calgary continues to grow. We're in the cusp of being a city of 2 million people, and there's challenges around that, around services, around housing, around infrastructure. And we look at parks, for example, that is probably the best bang for your buck of any type of infrastructure investment period. So we're looking at other ways to be able to support parks so that they have multiple usages, so that they're closer to where people live, closer to transportation corridors. But to be crystal clear, I fully support redoubling and renewing our investment in city parks, especially given that the vast majority of the expenditures were done 30, 40 years ago. So a lot of these investments are coming due. We have a decision to make, and I've heard loud and clear from Calgarians in that they do not want parks to be largely developed or sold off. So we need to be good stewards of what we have, and that's what our council's committed to doing, is being the infrastructure council, dealing with this issue once and for all, rather than just passing it on to the next generation to deal with.
Dave Patterson, the Canadian Press. Another question for you, Mayor Farkas. I know you weren't the mayor in June 2024, but just looking at that break and this recent break in January or December, kind of leading into January, are there mistakes that happened then that you're looking at kind of changing water use now, or changing how the city's addressing this fix compared to those ones?
Yeah, the question is about lessons learned from the previous break to this one and now. And look, I want to applaud Mayor Gondek's leadership. We've been able to execute a lot more tightly on the communications, being proactive, and even just the work that we're doing now, 9 simultaneous sites compared to the sudden crisis that was discovered in 2024. Unfortunately, we've gotten good at doing the repairs, but it's been an iterative process, learning from those setbacks and and it's to the credit of the team. Look, we have Ryan, we have Nicole, we have others here who were in the trenches literally. The team behind the scenes has gone through a lot, the communications department, all the folks working in water. This is about how do we learn from what happened in the past so that we can do better going forward. And look, if people are looking for accountability or somebody to blame, you can blame me. I am ultimately responsible. I am the Mayor of Calgary. Public safety is my responsibility. I'm accountable to get this fixed, but the way that we're fixing is by supporting our people. It's not throwing anyone under the bus. It's understanding that we've been dealt a bad hand. Nobody could have expected that 2024 break. That said, we are implementing the needed reforms from the independent panel report. We've learned through an iterative process. We still have a lot to learn too in terms of how we can best reach out to Calgarians and engage them as Team Calgary, as water heroes to get this done. We haven't been perfect, but we're going to fix this once and for all so the Calgarians never have to worry about this again.
Just as a follow-up, in the December break, you mentioned, I think it was a week or two ago, that there wasn't info getting to people as far as, they come back from vacation, they're on Christmas, and you may have mentioned kind of briefly here. Are you concerned about getting information to people now about the restrictions, and if not, why?
Well, the challenge just in modern media is that people get their information from many, many different news sources, traditional media, television, newspaper, online, social media, and as well in different language. Many different people consume different through different channels, but for us, we're trying to try novel concepts. We're out there on Reddit constantly. Just this morning, we opened up a new community resource office in Bowness. We're going knocking door to door. We're providing translations in different languages. But ultimately, I know that Calgarians have stepped up in the past. They stepped up on December 30th. They stepped up in 2024. We can do this. We can get through this by taking relatively small changes in our daily routines that add up massively when you think of nearly 2 million people in the region, not just here in Calgary, but also in Strathmore, in Tsuut'ina, in Chestermere, in Airdrie. We have gone in through harder things than this, which is why I know that we'll push through. And we are using that time well. We are using that needed time that's being bought to build the ultimate replacement so that we're never ultimately going to be in the situation again. And I know that it's frustrating. I know that it's embarrassing. I'm a Calgarian too. I feel this, but ultimately I'm so grateful for Calgarians. I'm grateful for the front line, the crews that are working under extreme pressure and in incredibly stressful environments to be able to get this done. It's not easy, but Calgarians don't shy away from a challenge. So I know that this is going to be the relatively last chapter in a very challenging story, but if we can get this done here now, we're going to be able to solve it once and for all.
Scott Strasser from the Calgary Herald. Kind of a technical question, but I was wondering if someone could specify.
Technical question's definitely that guy.
The 9 sections that have been showing signs of decay or deterioration, what exactly does that mean? Is it the concrete mortar or is it the internal, the reinforcement wires? Like, why are these 9 sections, why do they need to be repaired?
So after the last break in December 2025, we did some additional inspections, updated our modeling, and basically those the wire breaks internally to the wire wraps around the concrete pipe have experienced some more deterioration. So these are the segments that have the most deterioration that we're trying to reinforce so that they can last until the parallel pipe is in place.
And could that be caused by chlorides, like with the 2024 break in this way?
As the previous report said, there's many different factors that went into why those wire breaks might be, and chlorides were one of them. Embrittlement was another one, as well as the micro cracking to allow that penetration into the wire breaks.
We've often heard that these repairs, there's no guarantee the pipe won't break again, even after these reinforcements are complete. So why do them? Why not just roll the dice with it? Why do these reinforcements?
Sure. So the question, why did the repairs? Why not just let it, like you said, roll the dice and see what happens? We went over a number of different options. repairing more spots, repairing less, landed on this one. We do believe that this is the best approach, trying to get the most repairs in the shortest amount of time that really get us to the December timeframe where the parallel pipe will be in place, and we can take this pipe out of service and rely on a new one.
Anyone else? Yeah.
In terms of compliance, I don't know if you could answer the question or Nicole could. I know indoor it's voluntary that everyone's going to conserve water, but we have outdoor water restrictions. So what does the city plan to do? Warnings, fine?
Yeah, so you're asking about compliance as we move through this time. As of today, we're starting in a good position. Our typical morning peak demand, we have seen that Calgarians are already reducing water, and so I think that's a good indication of where we're going. We're really focused right now on getting the word out and ensuring that everyone is aware of the water restrictions in place and ways and steps that they can take in their homes or in their businesses to save water. And we'll focus on that education first approach. But if you ever have any questions or concerns around outdoor water use, you're welcome to call 311 to be able to share that information with us. And we'll reach out to those individuals to ensure we have the information needed and that we can continue to get the word out.
So at this moment, there are no fines or warnings that are being issued by the City of Calgary if compliance is not followed?
I'm not aware of any active bylaw complaints. Water restrictions did come into effect as of midnight last night, and so we're in early days, and it's really just important that we focus on getting the word out to Calgarians and helping them understand in ways that they can save water.
Thank you.
Just one more question for the mayor. How open are you to providing financial supports to businesses that are affected by these disruptions?
So we're doing absolutely everything that it takes to reduce and mitigate the impact on residents and businesses. And to be clear, there will be impacts in Bowness especially that will be impacted by the Stage B of the project. On a go forward, we're exploring ways that we can provide better forms of assistance. One may be support for local events and festivals. We want to make sure that Calgarians know that these areas of the city have been hard hit, but they're still open for business. Certainly as part of my campaign for mayor, I ran on exploring ways that, say, mitigation measures could be added to future capital budgets. For example, if the city wasn't able to adhere to specific timelines, other ways to, say, promote those areas of the city. So it's an open question in terms of how this upcoming city council budget deliberations will go. I certainly would like to see the city continue to step up to engage local businesses and community leaders in terms of how we can better help. But one of the best ways right now is for Calgarians to reduce their water usage so that we can buy the needed time and make sure that those measures are done as quickly as possible, as well as to come on down to Bowness and Montgomery. And if I can make a plug, just recently took my mayor's office staff out to Abby's Creations in Montgomery. There's a lot of great local businesses that I'm encouraging Calgarians to come down and support.
Hey, Mayor Carson. We see that you interact with Calgarians on social media through your own accounts to communicate for the water restrictions and everything. What other ways is the city getting success to communicate with Calgarians to spread the word and make them, aware and take notice of these restrictions?
So I'm going to answer briefly, and then I'll ask my colleague to jump in to wrap us up. We have to meet Calgarians where they're at, and I've really been impressed by the city's approach. I was recently at 2 open house meetings in Bowness and Montgomery over the recent days, over the weekend and evenings after work. We're getting out face to face. That's one of the best ways to be able to not just have the information sharing, but also a two-way dialogue. And what really impressed me about the city staff's handling of this is that they were taking a lot of the ideas from the community in terms of how some of the, say, the traffic impacts through Bowness mitigated. So this isn't just about getting the word out to Calgarians, but it's also including Calgarians in the dialogue and the discussion so that we can take their ideas and actually work them into how the impactful construction rolls out. It's a challenging time, but I know working together, whether it's face-to-face, whether it's online, whether it's through traditional media, whether it's through social media, we're using all of the tools at our disposal, but most of all, we're looking for that two-way dialogue. So I'll ask Ms. Newton to come and wrap that up.
Thanks. Yeah, so just to share about some of the other ways in which we're getting information out to Calgarians, we do have an active campaign, and so you'll hear ads on radio and social media, as well as you'll see a number of road signs out at various entry points to the community. Our buses will now have digital signage that has a Save Water message to continue to remind Calgarians. We're working with a number of our partners who have been fantastic in terms of sharing the message out with their members or their partners, trying to be able to help support the reach, and so they can keep their businesses going, as well as ensuring everyone has the right information. And as well as this morning, some of you who have perhaps subscribed to the Waste and Recycling app would have also received an alert around saving water and water restrictions. So we're trying to innovate and use a number of tools available. But as the mayor said, reaching people is challenging in these times when people consume information in many different ways. So we're continuing to try new steps, but really focused on that community interaction and the more you can share what you're doing with your friends and neighbors. And having my team out there with some of the boots on the ground, we're looking to hearing from Calgarians, and if you have ideas on things that we might be able to try, we're willing to take those into consideration and continue to spread the word.
Thank you so much for coming. We'll see you on Thursday, same location.